Updated this male base mesh recently, and I'm going to go through and rig the whole thing for you guys, just to show you my updated workflow as well as the updates that they've done to Advanced Skeleton. If you haven't seen the last video, we are working on version 5.779. It's possible by the time you see this they've already updated again, because they've been updating like crazy lately. If you want to know, just say check for updates, and if there is one, that'll say found and give you the number right here, and just click update and it'll do everything automatically for you. Alright, so if you haven't seen the last video, just finished up rigging this guy. I haven't painted the weights or anything because I usually wait until I have the whole process done and everything's working pretty well, and then I'll finalize the weights and the corrective blends and all of that. Let's turn this off, and before I do anything, I'll save this, and then I will save out a new iteration. So this was 02, so I'm going to save this out as 03. Alright, let's close the body section and the pre-section, and we'll open up the face section. So this is one of the things that's changed this mask section. I'm going to go through and show you each one of these little question markers here. So the first thing that's changed is you want to select all of the given polys roughly from like about the crown of the head to just under the Adam's apple, and stopping off just before the ear. I don't know exactly how exact you need to be with this selection, but I'm just going to go in with my paint select tool or select faces tool, make sure symmetry is on, and just start painting my selection. And I'm holding down B and dragging left or right to shrink or grow my brush size. I'm not sure exactly what needs to be in this, but I think that's good enough. I'm actually going to deselect some of these. I don't think these need to be in here. Alright, let me hit Shift I just to make sure I got oh, that's strange. Oh, when I hit Shift I, it didn't isolate the entire thing. Shift I. Actually, let me switch back to object mode, click off, hit Shift I. Click this again in object mode, hit Shift I, and then I'll switch back to face mode, and it deselected everything. Alright. We're going to select everything again, except a little bit sloppier and faster this time. For deselecting, I don't know if I mentioned, I'm just holding down Control. And I just want to make sure that I got the eye bags and the mouth bags selected. And it looks like I did not. So yeah, very important to get these. Go inside your mesh if you have to. I know it's a little bit difficult to see, just bear with me. Actually, I wonder if you could go into UV mode I don't know if I've ever tried this before. And select faces. I don't think it's going to let me. But at least you can see in UV mode the way, at least the way I have my shell split up. Looks like I'm missing a couple polys in my eye bag, and most of the mouth bag is not selected. The nostrils I got, and it looks like there's some extra polys on the ear that I selected by accident. So that was at least helpful. See, every mistake is actually ends up helping you in the end. Because I would have probably not selected everything that I needed to select. Or made those additional selections, which may or may not have messed things up for me. Let's see. Let's see where that eye bag selection is missing. Here it is. Just a little bit difficult to see. But now you can see I got it. This is fully covered. And then let's go in and finish the mouth up. You don't have to use the paint select faces tool. You could go in and manually select these faces if you want. And this is a little bit, this model's a little poly dense, so it's a little bit tough to get everything. I think most rigs usually are a little bit easier to take care of because they're a little bit simple. The geometry is a little bit simpler than this, but you know it's probably better that you see an a rig of a more extreme example. You'll probably run into less problems than I run into with this rig. All right. So now, if I look at my UV mode, it looks like I've got everything selected exactly how I want. And so now this is going to take a while. I'm going to hit mask, and it's going to go through and process all those faces. This should go significantly faster for you if your mesh is less poly dense. And we're stuck at 0%. Well, I'm just going to fast forward or cut through this. I'll see you guys when this is finished. Alright, and it looks like it just finished up. Alright, so next step is the face. So this is just, I'm selecting just the body in face, or in object mode. So let me switch back to my cursor. Click object mode and hit face. Easy. All head. Now this is everything. So I'm going to select all my geometry minus the groups, because I do not believe that it will select the groups. Let me actually. Oh, I can't see it because I have it isolated. Let me just make sure everything's in the right place. All right. The body, teeth. I'm just holding down Control to select all of these individually. Do not select your XGen. I don't think it'll recognize it as geometry. The eyes, and that should be everything. Yeah, I think we're good. So that's all head. And then everything that didn't have a skin cluster you didn't skin before in the body setup, it's going to say create new skin cluster. So now I believe if you go into your channel box, you'll see everything has why is my mind being slow today? Everything has a skin cluster attached to it now. And a tweak. Alright, next step is the eye right. And again, this is where it really helps to have everything labeled correctly, because now I can just go in, select these 3 pieces for eye right, select these 3 pieces for eye left, the upper teeth, so I have the gums and teeth separate, but I have them labeled both upper, and then the lower gums and teeth for the lower teeth, the tongue for the tongue, the eyebrows. Now this is something that has also changed. Attaching the eyebrows and the eyelashes used to be something that would happen at the end of the rigging process, and usually done with a wrap deformer, which would dramatically slow down your rig usually. Now I think it's using some form of skinning, so that's also a big improvement, and I'm glad that I don't have to worry about it. I can test the rig with the eyebrows and eyelashes attached already. So eyebrow plate, and if you haven't seen my videos on how I have the hair set up with plates, go check that out. It's a huge help, especially if you're rigging in a similar way to this. So, but I usually just keep them hidden. So the eyebrow plate will be eyebrow, the eyelashes plate will be for eyelashes, and then the beard and hair plate will be extras. All right. Now this is the long, tedious part. So, non-symmetrical, if you're rigging an asymmetrical character, this you would check this on, and then you'll have right and left options down here. But since this is symmetrical, we don't need to worry about that. Game engine is just if you're going to be exporting this rig to a game engine, and it'll create the proper nodes for that, and delete whatever's not going to transfer over to Unity or Unreal. And then advanced is advanced is if you're going to only create a face rig without the body setup. So I've actually had a few people in the comments ask me, is it possible to just run the face setup without the body setup? And I wasn't 100% sure, but now, yes, you definitely can with this advanced checkbox. So if your head is just, if it's just a floating head in a jar, or if it's a balloon head on a string, you will definitely be able to rig that up using this the advanced skeleton system. So we're not going to select any of this because none of this applies to this rig. Also, you can change joints to blend shapes or mixed. I'm just going to leave it as joints. You could always transfer the joint movements or the set driven keys as joints to blend shapes later if you want to edit them. All right, so first thing is the eyeball. So you just, no selection needed, and that replaced the eyeball setup from the face, or from the first section of the body setup. So I think I already mentioned that in the previous one. You do not need to worry about setting that up too well if you are going to then just set it up again in here. So I'm going to scale this up. And I usually try to make it a hair bigger. So this is going to help guide the eyelids so that they move smoothly over this piece of geometry. And because this is perfectly round and also very low poly, I want to make sure that it kind of fits on top of where my non-perfectly spherical eyeball. And I'll push this forward a little bit too if I have to. Let me turn this on so you can see a little bit better. That should be good. And then I'm actually going to also, I don't know how much of a difference this will make. I'm going to rotate this negative 2.5 degrees outward just to match my eye a little bit better. So if I go into you should be able to see this matches up like pretty much perfectly along the axis of my eye. All right, that takes care of that. I don't know if you need to even be this precise, but it's all overkill. All right, let's bring back the male body, and I'll hide the eye just so it's a little bit easier to see. And this is for the outer eyelid. So I'm just going to be selecting one of these. So what this is going to do is like create a shell. There'll be the main eyelid, and then the inner eyelid, which, will be, somewhere in here. And it'll create kind of like a shell, and then that shell will be everything that gets deformed when the eyes blink or move, the fleshy eye. All right. So let's say somewhere, this one looks good. And then I also, you can also select a vertex on the edge loop to identify where the separate upper and lower are. So I think I did this also in the last tutorial, but this is always a huge help, and it just helps, deformation be a little bit smoother. So I select multi-component, go in, and then I want to select where that middle. Well, let me actually just deselect this, and I'll show you. So there's one edge loop running through my eye, and this is going to be the main edge loop where the blinking deformation happens. It's going to happen along this edge. So when I select this, I think that's the right one I had. Maybe let's go one in. I think that's good. I want to say multi-component, and then I want to select along this edge the vertice that matches up. So it's this edge, and then I'm going to select this vertice as well. And then I'm going to hit eyelid outer. Oops. Make sure you have symmetry turned off, because this will cause problems. Deselect everything. One more time. Oops. Eyelid outer. Now this will take a second. I will probably be cutting through all of this, unless you guys don't mind waiting. All right, and then we have the first part of the shell. All right, next, the eyelid main. So this is going to be where the actual edge that drives like blinking deformation and all of that, squinting, and hopefully if you have your topology set up correctly, you'll have one clean loop that goes all the way around here. Sometimes when I'm retopoing, like some of these loops, like I'll have a clean loop up here. Let me actually select, this is probably the one that I use. I'll have a clean loop up here, but then somehow for the bottom it actually gets sucked behind the wall of the eyelid. And I won't have a clean loop, and then I'll have to go through and select this edge, and then try to like fudge it so they match up. But hopefully you have a clean loop. I'm gonna select this guy. Object mode. It's a little difficult to see. Let me turn this one off. Let's say this one. Yeah, that's the one I had selected already. Multi-component. Select these verts. And should I go one more in? Should I go one more in? Yeah, I'm going to select this one. Let's do this one and see how it goes. We'll see, Eyelid Main. Something that I also actually forgot, I just turned the visibility of this male eye water off. So this is actually something that I should have included on the eyelashes that I want to move with the eyelashes. So this is, if you look at the edges of where your eyelid meets your eye, there's a little bit of pooling, like kind of like you know, the tear fluid that usually rests around the outer rim of your eye, and it just adds a little bit of realism. A lot of people include that in their portraits that they do. So I'm just going to have that deform along with the eyelashes. So I'm just going to select water and then eyelashes plate, and then I'm going to say eyelashes. And I can't, for whatever reason, I cannot click in any of these. Oh, here we go. Well, it won't let me see what exactly is selected. All right. Well, we'll just move on, and hopefully the water's included. I can always skin it later. All right, eyelid inner. So this is going to complete that shell. And multi-component. Select this vert. I think it's probably this vert. That should be good. I probably doesn't need to be back that far, actually. That should be good. All right, there we go. And the shell's completed. So this is where all the deformation is going to be taking place for the eye. All right, now we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to hide this with the lips. Lip outer. So you can see. I think that's about right. It's a little bit far down for the lower lip. This is the one that I would probably want for the lower lip. It's kind of actually what I was just talking about with the eyelids. How the edge loops aren't necessarily perfect, but I'm going to just play it safe and go with this outer one, and I will select multi-component. This is or I'll just show you guys. So I have one clean edge going from mouth corner to mouth corner. So that's the right edge. Multi-component, select that vert, and I'll say lip outer. Cool. All right, lip main, same deal. This is like, you know, where the lips meet. Probably, my lips actually intersect slightly, so I'm going to, I think that's the right one. If I go in here, yeah. So this is where the lips actually meet. And I'm going to say, do I have multi-component? No, I did not. So I have to position my camera in the right place. I'm going to say this vert right here. And lip main. And one more for the lip outer. I'll just show you guys, or lip inner, I should say. Multi-component. This one. Actually, let's do this one. Doesn't need to be that far back. I think that's the right one. Maybe, actually, difficult to tell. Difficult to tell. Actually, is it all the way up here? Well, probably doesn't matter. That cannot be right. It's got to be this guy or this guy. Well, hopefully your geometry is a little bit cleaner and easier to see where the inner edge loop is separated from top and bottom lip. All right, let's just move on. Eyebrow, let's turn the hair plate on so we can see a little bit better. Vertex. Let's say this one or this one. X-ray. Let's say this one. Oh, whoops. Vertex. That's what I get for having X-ray on. Let's say this one. Eyebrow outer. Let's say this guy. And then eyebrow center is actually not in the center of this, it's in the center of the forehead. And we'll do these extra eyebrows as well. So this just gives you a little extra control. Vertex, so say one here. Vertex one here. And one here. Oops. Do I want this one where it is? Should I select this guy instead? You know what, it's not going to be perfect. Oh well. Alright, the forehead. It's 3 vertices you want to select. One in the center of the nose, and this center, these two should line up with this vertex of where the eye blinks. So similar to how you did it with the eyelid selections. So I'm going to select this guy back here about. And let's do one more. Let's go back there. Shift select this guy, and then somewhere up here. That's good. Now I used to have a lot cleaner in my old rig, or my old body. Topology had a lot cleaner topology, and then this was a smooth line. So this definitely unsettles my OCD, but it'll work for our purposes. All right, let's hide the hair plates so we can see a little bit better. And I'll hide this forehead. All right, jaw pivot is like right next to the ear, around here. Jaw corner. Let's see, what did I just do? That looks about right. Jaw corner. Jaw is the center of the chin. This will replace the jaw from the body setup. That's what we want. The throat, it's like about where the Adam's apple is. The cheek, let's say somewhere like here, maybe here. The cheekbone. So actually, from having done a test rig, I actually like to put it a little bit further back. It's like somewhere like around here is good. And then cheek razor, though this is gonna also be pushed back a little bit. I used to put it like up here, but it's getting strange deformation. I actually put it probably about here is good. And the cheek razor, so when you smile, or make certain expressions with your face, your cheekbones or the muscles in your cheeks raise up and your lower lid raises up. That's what this cheek razor thing is all about. So I think I'm going to put this right here. You can always come back and change the positions of these. I like to play around with the positions of these verts from, when I'm running through these rigs and see if it makes a huge difference. The smile, I also always put a little low. I actually usually put it in line with the edge of the lips. And then the frown bulge I put about here. Let's put it right there. It really depends. If you want like really cartoony, exaggerated expressions, I would put this I would put it higher up here to give them more of like a, the Charlie Brown smile, and put this one further down here to give them, more of exaggerated expressions. All right, nose, vertex. So this is just like the tip of the nose in the center. Either one of these will work. Let's do this one. Nose under. Let's do this one. Nose corner. Let's do here. And then there's some extra optional controls which I usually do include. So nose side is about here. Nose center. And then I just follow this this edge up and select the center vert here. And then the nostril is like where the ball of the nose meets the edge of this nostril, probably like around here. All right, the tongue is a series of locators. Let me hide the everything so you guys can see a little bit better. So you don't need to select anything, you just hit tongue and then it pops in these series of locators, and you want to just place these roughly in the position in the center of the mass of your tongue. So one here, one here. Be careful not to select any of the other locators. And then this one will be the tip of the tongue. And that should be good. It's going to even be a little bit further up. All right, I'll unhide everything. So the pupil is, I actually have, so if you look at how I have my eye set up, I actually have a low poly and a high poly. And I only have this is for the left. I really only have the low poly in there for this tool, or this optional selection So essentially what I'm doing is I'm selecting the edge loops around the iris and the pupil, and then you can scale them up or down. And it's good for, like, you know, dilating pupils. I don't know what you would ever really use the iris for, unless you wanted to make like really tiny beady eyes in a character and you didn't want to rebuild the eyes. So let me turn this HP off, and I'll turn on my low poly version, and I'll select this edge for, turn this off. Yeah, that was the right edge. For the pupil, and then the iris edge, I'll select this guy. Cool. And I'll turn this glare back on. Alright, and then this upper, mid, low. This is something you're really only going to use on cartoony characters too. This is like kind of like the squash and stretch feature. But I include this anyway because it really doesn't make a difference. And it's fun to sometimes do a cartoony squash and stretch on a more realistic face. So this is upper, mid, high. And then I usually just line this up, this one with the eye, and this one with the lips, and then this one is like about where the nose is. That should be good. The smile line, I've tested this out, and I actually am not happy with how this works out, and it creates like a weird crease. I think that if your character was older or had like a lot more wrinkles or expression, or was like fatter, you might want to use this. But my guy really, like, the nasolabial fold here is barely visible, and I'm not going to include this. But you guys can test it out if you want. That's up to you. All right. All right, that's all. That was a marathon. That was all of the selections needed, and we're going to build the advanced face now. So I'm actually going to go through step by step, and make sure none of this messes up. I'll close this down. So let me save. Step 1, build the prep. So make sure you save before you start this, so you can, and don't save during it. You're like, oh, I finished steps 1 through 5, I'm going to save. Don't save. Something in this build process might break or not be exactly what you want. And there are options to go back and go back into fit mode, but I've had mixed results with that, so I usually just start over. So right now it's checking for symmetry. I'm almost 100% sure it's going to be symmetrical, because we went through that symmetrize step back in the previous part of this tutorial, but we'll just let it check and see. Cool, model is symmetrical. All right, build the control box, build the eyeball. Let's just test this eye rotation. So this is the type of eye rotation that you're going to get if you only do the body setup, and it's not going to give you that fleshy eye. But it still works. But the eyelids are not going to be moving with the ball. Let's test this out. And I'm still getting some issues here. What is going on? Huh. I'm not sure why it's doing this. Maybe I selected the wrong edge loop for my main eyelid. Maybe it needed to be further out in. Looking up looks pretty good, except the extreme version of it. I'm getting some clipping. We'll see. Results may vary. It might also just be because there's just too much geometry and doesn't know what to do with it all. I can always go through. This is actually the second subdivision up. Let's see. Blinking looks good. Blinking looks real good. It looks like it even got the caruncula to close. Little bit of a gap there. Let me turn on the hair and see how the eyelashes look, because sometimes they can be a little funky. Oh, they look pretty good. They look pretty good. All right, so it's just the eye fleshy that's I'm having trouble with. I'm gonna see if I can fix that later. These look pretty good. Getting a little bit of... Oh, what's going on here? Getting a little bit of interpenetration there. I don't know if I like that. That's only on the most extreme angry pose. Let me turn hair off. Let me turn this back to subdivision, or unsubdivided, smooth preview. Yeah, getting a little crispy in there. This looks good. And you can do almost to the max, but as soon as you go a little too much, it's a little too extreme. Let's zero this out. Oh, there's also a squeeze function. That's pretty cool. Outer, up, down. So this, I guess, is like the Vulcan eyebrows. All right, turn this off. What's next? Squint. That looks good. I would expect it to look good if the blinking looked good. The lips. Lip fall off. So I was having, I think the last time I built this, I was having a little bit of trouble. Oops. Test. Yeah, so I think this might be a little bit much for the lip fall off, and I'm going to turn this down to 9. Test, update. 2 for the inside I think is good. Actually, let me just see. Test. What happens if I bump this up to 3? I think that's good. Let's build the smile pull. This usually gives me a little bit of trouble too. I get some weird clipping. Yeah, so, yeah, this is a little weird. But, let's see. I mean, the most extreme example, I mean, you're probably not going to have your character smile more than this. Even this is pretty good. But I would adjust this a little bit. This is just extreme. And it's giving me weird dimples. Let me see if I smooth this out, if it looks any better. Not really. This is very strange here. Maybe I just have too many edge loops. Alright, let's move on. Oh boy. Yeah, this was giving me a little bit of trouble before too. I don't know why it's so boxy. Even if I smooth it out, it should just be a little bit rounder. What I might do a separate video on this if I can get this to work, but I might convert all of these to blends and actually just adjust the blends. Boop, boop, boop. It also looks like it's asymmetrical. Are you guys seeing that? Yeah. Look at his lips. Strange. Alright. Again, what's this? The clipping. It might really be because my mesh is too heavy. I might go through this whole rigging process and end up doing it on Subdivision 1. Or redoing it on Subdivision 1. Let's see, cheek razor. Or no. Oh, this is the jaw weighting. And see if that makes a difference. Because I really do think that it's the mesh is just too dense. That looks pretty good. A little bit of weirdness. I feel like this should be a little bit straighter, but looks good. Teeth look good. They look like they're sitting in the right place. Yeah, I love waiting for it if it's like it's going to freeze or if it's going to crash, but I really think it's just Advanced Skeleton chugging along. This looks pretty good. And it actually looks like it's doing something weird here with the cheeks. Like it's sucking in the cheeks. But I think it actually looks pretty good. Oop. Oh, scrub time slider to check. His mouth looks a little wide. But, oops. Let's build the nose. Let me rush through the rest of these steps because this video is dragging on and on. You guys don't need to see me check every single thing in depth. Snarl, this is something new. This is great. So part of the new features of Advanced Skeleton, they give you phonemes, like for lip syncing, and there's actually like an auto lip sync feature where you can like feed audio and text into it and it'll auto lip sync. And then there's also the emotions. Yeah, the last two steps here are phonemes and emotions, and it's just like built directly in, and it does a pretty damn good job. Those look good. So before, you would have to go through and manually, put the eyebrows how you wanted them, put the nostrils and the lips and the eyelids how you want them, to control each emotion individually and kind of guess how they would all fit together. This gives you like a really nice base that you can then tweak exactly how you want. Let's see. So these are the emotions, or no, these are the phone. Oh yeah, these are the phonemes. So you can just see real quick. Yeah, and keep in mind, guys, you probably are not going to be cranking these up to 10. This is I, oo, oo, s. They look pretty good. Shh. Yeah, I don't know if this one looks right. Shh. And this is schwa. Schwa. G and K. It looks like it even gets the tongue movement in there. Yeah, so usually you're not going to be moving these all the way up to 10. Most people do not speak with that much pronouncement in their face. But all right, and then emotions. So yeah, the phonemes and the emotions are probably the most useful additions, I'd say. And then it's finishing up. All right, and I think that's it for the face. You can toggle and go back and switch your thing or your placement of all these selections, and then rebuild the advanced face. And then there's some other options here. Custom oriented controllers. You can do the Delta Mush and have it affect everything except for the eyelid and lip area, and this will give you a little bit smoother, but I think that this also affects the rest of the body. So let me actually just save this as 4. And then let me actually just create the Delta Mush and see how that affects, like, so it looks like I'm getting a little bit cleaner with the eyebrows, but is it affecting everything? Let's see. It looks like it is. Look how much cleaner this is now too. I mean, for a lot of instances, the Delta Mush is going to be great. It's a lot cleaner, and this is before I have smooth mesh turned on. So you can see it would be even a little bit cleaner with smooth mesh. But let's take a look at, is this the eye? Still getting some, it's almost fixed, but not really. What about this? Oh, this is that snarl. Unhappy. Let's put that back to 0. Let's try some of these emotions out. Happy. Oh, it looks like it kind of fixed the lips a little bit. That Delta Mush. Let's turn the hair on and see what this looks like. See if the eyelashes are working. It looks like they're following along pretty good. And the beard looks like it's following along pretty good too. This is gonna slow, the hair's gonna slow everything down. Yeah. Go back to 0. Let me turn the hair off. Check out some of these other emotions I got in here. Angry. That's great. And, you know, these are not going to be one-size-fits-all solutions because some people look a little bit different. I mean, depending, you know, not everyone makes the same expressions the same way. This, to me, looks more like disappointment or just pouting. I wouldn't say this is necessarily sad. Surprise. That looks pretty good. Fear. Fear and surprise are pretty good. You can stack these on top of each other. You can stack these on top of each other. And let's just add this on for good measure. Oops. Let's see what this does. My goodness. Let's turn these down to 0. What's disgust look like? Disgust kind of has that same like snarly thing. I really need to fix this. This is driving me nuts. I might go back. I'm going to try to select a different edge loop for the eyelids maybe. Or try rigging this up with the lower subdivision level. I'll probably get a cleaner result. Alright, disgust, and let's see what contempt looks like. Contempt is just like a very half-hearted smile. No eyebrow movement whatsoever. Alright. Let's see, is there anything else to cover? So yeah, here's a way to convert everything to blend shapes. And this might be your best bet, like if I really wanted to go in and fix those eyelid issues or fix the way the smile pull is working. I could go through and convert those. I think there's probably a way to change the driving system or to keep them as joints and edit them that way, but I'm not 100% sure. Oh, here, I think here it is. Or step through all the blend shape targets with blend shape wizard. Or extract all targets. I have to look on Advanced Sculpting's website or their YouTube channel and see if they go over all of this. I don't remember having these tools in previous versions. Custom controllers, creating new blend shapes. Yeah, I think that's it for the face setup. Let's see, driving systems. This is like set-driven keys, I believe. Corrective blend shapes. I actually went over corrective blends in a previous tutorial. I'm not going to be going over them again here, but I will link them above in the little info icon in the top right. Yeah. Corrective shapes advanced. Oof. I don't know if I've ever used this. This might be new too. And then tools, selector designer, walk designer, animation tester. This is all. There's a ton of useful stuff in here. There you go. Delete unused nodes. This is kind of just like cleaning up from the whole rigging process, and then publishing. So this is if you referenced in your mesh, this is where you would publish. And what this does is it takes all of your referenced stuff and actually pulls it directly into the scene. So that way you can reference this rig file. And you don't have to worry about the nesting references. Because you really, really do not want to be referencing a reference within Maya. Alright. And then exporting. This is for game engines. Demo. Oh, you can import demo characters here. And then about is where you update and check the file versions. Alright, so that is everything, or at least everything that I'm going to be covering for this video. There are plenty more to go in, but this video is already running really long. Hopefully you got something out of this. Hopefully you're using Advanced Skeleton and having better results than I did. Well, I got nearly a perfect result, I would say. There's just some minor cleanup. And I think that as far as saving time, this is such an amazing rigging system and gives you so many tools. I mean, most of the time you're probably not even going to be using half these tools when you're producing an animation with these characters. So, but they're really nice to have, and you may end up using them. And as far as like saving time versus using this system versus actually building a rig from scratch, there is absolutely no comparison. I am not a rigger. I spend a lot of time sculpting and texturing, and I just don't have time to expand my knowledge of the entire workflow to being like an expert rigger as well. And I think you talk to a lot of artists, rigging is usually their least favorite thing. So I'm really, really happy to have Advanced Skeleton. Please leave me a like, especially if this was useful for you. Share it, subscribe, all of that. Leave me a comment below if you have any questions about anything I went over, if you want me to go over anything that I did not cover in this video in a future video. And that's all for this one. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next tutorial.